Adrian would be, so when this episode starts, we'd get Adrian, Akane, Remy, and Alex heading to the stadium, where they're supposed to be. They walk in Suga, not Suga, Toshi, what's his name? We got Shima, the leader of the group. He says, "Hi, I'm Shima, the leader of this entire operation. We have to fight off all kinds of schools, like Sei, and Karasu, and Shika, and and Shira. I know." He says, "Let me name all 10 prefecture high schools. The first one is Shira, the strongest. Then we have the second group, Alba. Next, Fukuro. Next, Neko. Next, Inara. Inara is the strongest. Shira is right behind them in strength. Then there's us. There's also Nexus. It's another team. There's much more that I can name, but there's not enough. As Ashima says, "Let me introduce you to the crew that we have now. The rest will join in a couple of minutes. Here we have Emma, Ray, and Kuro." Adrian says, "Nice to meet you guys. I'm Adrian." I so want to make his last name Kurosaki for so many reasons. But it's Kadoku. He says, "Hi, I'm Adrian Kadoku. Nice to meet y'all." Akane goes, "I'm Akane Ryuki. Nice to meet you." Alex says, "I'm Alex. I don't have a last name." Remy says, "Hi, I'm Remy Lightsing." I'm kidding. She says, "Hi, I'm Remy. I just don't feel like giving you my last name." He says, "Well, I'm Shima, of course. And there's a couple of more we're the third years. We're waiting for the second years to come soon. We will, oh yeah, they are selecting one teacher to be our trainer. To help us." Christian thinks to himself. Not Christian. Adrian thinks to himself, hopefully we never have to fight her. Hopefully we never have to fight Sarah again. At her 100%, it's still hard to defeat her. He thinks in his head, this is way too hard. I'm gonna have to go back in my old videos and find what the name of that school was that I had. Okay, look, Inara is the school that Sarah's from. Christian, when Shima says Inara is the strongest school, Christian says, "Isn't Inara where Sarah goes?" He says, "You guys know her?" Adrian says, "I almost beat her, but that was hard. I got all my limbs broken. Almost had my stomach kicked out of my own body." He says, "She is insanely powerful at 100%. I only fought her to 75%. And I was at my full power." Shira says, "Well, not even I could." Shima says, "Well, you're pretty good. I could only fight her when she was I can fight her at 100%, but not for long. She'll easily overpower me at 200%. Adrian says, "She has 200%?" He says, "Yeah, she has up to 1,000%. Adrian says, "But we need to improve ourselves." He says, "Okay, well show all of us your powers." Shima says, "This is mine." As he pulls out his blade, and then, boom! It glows yellow. Adrian says, Akane says, "What kind of power is that?" He says, "It's the power of the sun, and the power of light." And Emma over here has the power of the moon. Isn't that right? Emma goes, "Yup, I have the power of the moon. We're called the sun and moon duo." He says, do you four mind showing us?" Alex says, sure. He pulls out his blade and it glows orange. He says, "This is light refraction. It's basically the same thing. It's basically a type of power." He says, "I could care less about what it's on." Rami says, "Well, mine is lightning," as she activates her lightning power in her sword. And cuts through it cuts the air, going ching ching. Akane says, "Well, my sword is dark matter." It's completely, and her sword glares with blackness as it oozes out black energy, going as she cuts the air as well. He says, "Now you, Adrian." Adrian says, "Well, I have," and blue fire streams from his sword, going. Adrian goes. He says, "It's still very hard to control." He says, "That's why we're gonna work on it." He says, "Also, where did you get that blade?" Adrian says, "I got it over summer vacation. After we faced Inarazaki, Inara, it was pretty hard to fight them. I got a new sword after having a quick sparring match with Akane." He says, "You're here, second years." All four of them go, "Hello." There's actually only 2 third years, 4 second years, and 4 first years, which adds up to 10 students. He says, "And coach." Adrian and Kane, Remy and Alex say, "Mr. Johnston?" He goes, "Yeah, guys, I'm here. I'm your coach. I'm no longer a teacher. I'm now the coach for the team. Now get to running." They go, "Yes, sir," as they start running around the gym, using all their built-up speed. He goes, "Stop," as he blows his whistle. They go, "Yes, sir." He says, "We have a special team coming over. It's Inara." Adrian goes, Adrian goes, "Oh, Sarah's gonna be here." Mr. Johnson goes, "Yup. Yes, she is." So as Inara walks in, Sarah says, "Well, I guess it's you guys. I guess this is the new team for Tokyo High. You guys must be good. We don't know." As they brought their third years, first years, and second years, a sweat rolls down Adrian's face as he says, "This is gonna be a harder match than before." Mr. Johnson says, "Well, you guys will fight," and also Mr. Johnson, who is his brother, who's just Johnson instead of Johnston. He says, "Put up your fighters." Ray is about to go, Shima is about to go, but Shima says, "I'll go against her. It's the whole team against her." Johnson says. The team, Adrian cracks his knuckles saying it's me that's going against her. The captain of that team says, who does that first year think he is trying to take on her? There's no way. One of the first years that is in her class, that is in Sarah's class, says, he fought Sarah to a standoff. It made her almost lose. He goes, no way. He says, she's like the strongest on the team. He goes, well, looks like we'll have to see how this match goes. Agent says, let's go, Sarah. Let's see how strong you've gotten. Ah! Sarah pulls out two swords. She says, I dual wield now. Ha! Adrian, they both get ready to disappear and clash their swords. Adrian spins his sword around and throws it up in the air. As he jumps up and kicks his sword down, pitting it right on her back, appearing right behind her. The sword comes right behind her. She goes, nice try! As she tries to jump in the air, but then she's caught by something. Adrian punches her in the face saying, good luck with that! As he punches her down. She goes, ooh! Then she says, dang you! As she's still stuck. Adrian grabs her leg and spins off of it and pulls his sword from under her cloth clothes. He goes, ah! As he pulls it back and says, that was a strong attack, but it did take a lot of energy to pick up my heavy sword. Then he activates blue fire. I'm gonna call it cremation blade. He activates his swordsman mode. The swordsman state is basically when they activate their power and their swords. He says swordsman state. Then his sword glares with blue fire him and her time stop sword. He cannot be hit by her sword, or else time will stop for about 20 seconds, and she'll be able to absolutely destroy him in that time. But then she lands a slash on his arm. He goes, damn it! As time freezes. In Adrian's little mindscape thing that he's stuck in, he goes and tries to overwhelm the entire thing with blue fire, but it's not working. He says, maximum overdrive! As it obliterates the time stop. He goes, ah! As it finally obliterates through the time stop, and now he's in his fiery form again. He goes, ah! Shima says, this kid's got potential! Yes! You've got potential! Adrian disappears as he punches her in the face, going, as his sword goes, as their swords are clashing, going, gling, gling. Adrian kicks her sword out of her hands and punches her in the gut, going, Then she backflips, catching her sword and spinning around, saying, what time stopped? Whirlwind! As she spins into like a pink tornado, as Adrian says, ah! Blue tornado! As he turns into a blue tornado. Then they clash, going, it's a humongous explosion to a bigger tornado. And they're fighting inside the tornado. Only Mr. Johnson and Johnston can see it. They're going, clink, 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 clink. Adrian and her clash in the tornado. Sarah lands a huge kick, which obliterates Adrian, which launches him out. He goes, too strong. Then she kicks him down even more, but then she does a final one, which he catches her legs, going. Then he moves his head forward and headbutts her in the stomach, going. She says, that didn't hurt at all. He says, that wasn't a purpose. As he front flips, wrapping his legs around her head, and then drags her down, going. Then he lets go. He releases his grip. Then he goes to kick her in the face, but then she catches it with her hand and then says, yes. As he's about to, she goes, hiya, and pushes his leg back. He goes, damn it, if I try and move my other leg, my other leg's gonna break. He goes, it's worth a try. She's about to land a hit on my face. As he kicks her up in the sky, but with his right leg breaking. He goes, as he kicks her up into the air for a final strike in the air. Then he somehow appears above her and launches her down with another punch. He goes, but then he feels something in his stomach. He goes, he sees that her sword is stabbed through his stomach. He goes, you bastard! You bastard! As he swings, as he spins around and backhands her, launching her straight to the ground. Remember, they've been fighting in the air this entire time. Adrian is trying to keep up with her insane power. Then she says, 100%! As she appears blowing, not just looking at him, and then he's instantly being hit up multiple times. She goes, she says, when my time stop, she says, when I'm in 100%, my time stop is increased to 1 minute. As she catches him and barrages him, going, ha! Absolutely destroying him. And then he's launched down. Adrian says, I won't give up. That's my motto. I will never give up. As he jumps right back up from the ground, going, stabbing her in the arm, going, then he goes, oh. He says, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for everyone. And clashes, breaking her sword. As he kicks her down. And defeats her. And that's it for now.